Okay. Hi. Good morning. Bright and early, 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for coming in to see me so early today. I am just really excited about where .NET's going. And I'm doing this talk and follow it up with another talk. And the other talk will be about the big picture stuff. This talk is about C#7, straight going into what you're going to see in Visual Studio. I will cover some Visual Studio things and C#7 itself. So just to check, how many of you use Visual Studio Code instead of Visual Studio every day as your primary editor? How many of those folks? Okay, there'll be a few things I'm going to show you that will be boring. But the rest of it is, most of you are using at least some Visual Studio. So how many of you are on Visual Studio 2015 right now? It looks like almost everybody. Kind of on both, kind of trying to get it. Yeah, so that's great. Normally in a talk like this, it is people that think they're going to move forward relatively quickly. And so one of the things, I'll just do a sneak peek from the other talk, is that the announcement is we should see Visual Studio 2017 full release this spring. And whether that means between now and March, or March and June, I can't say for sure, but it is looking fairly solid. There are public RCs, so everything you see today is in a public RC, and you can go home, download the stuff, and do everything you'll see me do today. Okay? Now, if you took an early picture of this slide, my email was wrong, so you want to take a different picture if you earlier took a picture. But that's a really horrible plain slide, and you can see I've put not much time into branding this deck because I have no intention of showing you any more slides in this. I have some in case it all goes really bad. So I have to tell you this. I just think it's so awesome that the team did this. Yesterday, and I guess maybe I shouldn't say this, but yesterday the public RC got a huge hiccup for like everybody I knew. And I could not run Visual Studio 2017. So I was madly creating a PowerPoint deck for you. And it got reported to the team about 10 o'clock in the morning. It was fixed before 5 o'clock. And I'd like you to do the math as to what time that is in Seattle. Not only did they fix it in 7 hours, they fixed it in 7 hours in the middle of the night. So total hats off to the team for the fact that I can show you what I'm going to show you today. So we're going to make that pretty right there. Oops, no, that's not pretty. Just so you know, when you mess up your formatting, you'll never forget this again. It's my initials, Control KD. So I go down in fame for being able to format your code. So we'll just do that. Okay, so everybody can see the font okay? Is everybody happy? We're good? Ready to go. All right. Yeah, let's get rid of this. So I can just unpin that. Okay. So this is a demo that I put together explicitly to show, obviously, the 2017 features. But it's a variation of one that I did for 2015. And who knows, maybe I'll vary it again for the next version. But it's sort of like halfway to being a real project, but not too close. Just don't want you to get too comfortable. But there is a folder from my domain stuff, and I kind of want to start by going in and opening this file and showing you this part of the little dummy app, what it is. So there's a public class for person, and then I have a student that derives some person, okay? And then if I come down here further, I've got staff derives from person and also adds a staff role. And then I have an instructor. And finally, I have a flags enum for what the role is. So you're sort of with me in the general gist of this. So the first thing I want to talk about is this right here. Now, I know that some of you are going to look at this and you go, oh, yes, I could go on forever. Because I ask sometimes, hey, who can do this? And somebody in the room will be able to go like astoundingly high with the 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 250. Yeah, somebody can go really high with that. It's not me. So I really like a new feature, which is the binary literals. So now I can say OB. think I have to go to that space. Is that right? Yeah, there we go. And then, so this one would be OB10, right? You're with me here? And then we've got 0B100. I'll do a couple more of these. And 0B1000. And then I can just keep adding zeros, right? And so you've got the general gist of this. And, oh, I forgot how many this was, so let's just put a bunch of them just to get the idea. And then on this one, and I'm not sure these are exactly the numbers that, and that one just had a 1 at the end, okay? So one of the things that we can do here, let's fix that little squiggle, okay? One of the things we can do here is it's really easy to see that I've messed up on that race car and driver thing, right? The race car driver thing, because there's a 1 at the end, and that's not what I intend for a flag xenome. If you don't know what flag xenome is, it's kind of what you just looked at. It sets the bits, and you can combine them, and somebody could here be an instructor and a student without a problem, or an instructor, and a department chair without a problem. So you with me on that? Do you like that? You think it's more readable? Raise your hand. Think it's more readable? I like it better than the other one because I don't have to remember. I'm not quite sold on the readability yet, but we might get there. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, how many of you like the fact I put everything in one file? Raise your hand if you like the fact I put all my classes in one file. You don't? You want me to fix it? Okay, so we'll do a little cut and paste here. Just take 20 minutes or something. So we'll just go, first I'll do Control-MO. I'm going to collapse everything. So I've got things a little bit more tightened up. I've got person. Well, this is a person class. We'll leave that. I'll come in here. I'm going to hit Control period. And I'm going to say move to students.cs. I'm going to say Control period, enter. Do that again, Control period, enter. And yeah, we'll go ahead and do this one. I think this one will work too. Control period, enter. Whoa, dude, what did I just do? Did you get that? Did you see that? Oh my gosh, you guys are not excited. It's too early in the morning. Oh my gosh, look. How long did that take? You could have done it faster, right? 3 or 4 seconds. I cleaned all that out. And what that allows you to do, it's actually not the fact that you just did it, because I know if you go home, most of you are going yeah, I don't have any files. I have a bunch of classes in it. But when you're sitting down and you're doing your initial development, and you're kind of just playing around, and you're trying to figure out what things are going to look like, and you're doing some stuff, you can put it all in one file now, because cleaning it up takes absolutely no time. So that's where this is going to help you. Not so much that right now you've got these files you need to clean up, but it gives you the flexibility to do it. Now I want to do something else here. I want to take, let's go ahead and we're going to make let's just turn a staff into a race car driver. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control-C, Control-V. You guys have done this all the time, right? Now let's come up here and let's say, gosh, I got to rename this puppy. And let's make sure I hold my mouth right on this one. This is a little bit finicky. But I changed the name to race car driver, and I hit enter. It goes in. And I go in here, and what do I see? Wait. Did it really not do it? Annoying. All right, so there is a scenario. Unfortunately, this did not work out. There's a race car driver. Okay, so in some situations, I did not hold my mouth just right. It will actually change that name for you. But gosh, this happens, right? You wind up with the class name doesn't match the internal name. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to be sure this is differentiated from the other one. I'm going to just add a 2 there. So now I've got a class of staff 2 in a file of race car driver. Boy, that makes no sense at all. Let's see what happens. If I come up here and I hit Control period, okay, rename file to staff 2, or rename race car driver, rename staff 2 to race car driver. Are you excited? All those places that you go, and before it was just like, oh, I got to rename my file. Oh, this is going to be a pain. If I do it just right, or ReSharper helps me, I can get it. But right now all I have to do is say, yeah, that was a race car driver, dude. And it's done. Okay? And that is a full rename, so if anybody else is talking to it, it's going to get fixed too. So I wanted to show you a couple cool tricks in Visual Studio, because I think the things I just showed you display the real theme of Visual Studio 2017 and C#7, which is your life just gets easier with a whole bunch of little tweaks here and there. That's what I think it's all about. Now, you're going to hear about some bigger ideas like pattern matching. And I will show you pattern matching. But for right now, today, why does pattern matching matter? Because it's going to make your life easier. That's what today is all about, is make your life easy. Does that sound good? You like that? I love it. Okay, fantastic. Okay, now, one of the things I've done today is that I actually have opened my notes. Okay? You can say, introduce binary literals. We did that. We didn't do expression body members in more places. We'll go do that. But it's for two reasons. One, I don't want to forget stuff. And two, if you like, I'll be happy to give you my notes. And that'll be a fast way that you can come back and say, every time I read the release notes, my head hurts. And just say, here's just a quick bullet point list of the things I covered. I tried to include the right names, so you can then Google to find out more about what you care about. Does that sound good? All right, okay. So, what I want to show you now, I'm going to come up to the quick launch. You guys know about quick launch, and you make a guess as to what you want to look at. And I think I want to see some stuff about style right now. It's a quick way to show you a couple of features. How did I get to NuGet? Style, text editor code style. I don't know how I got to NuGet. This is where I actually want to be, and I'm going to go here to general. I have that other dialogue's just a little funky, but I will show you what's going on there. So this is an imperfect dialogue because I cannot move this bar, okay? But we'll live with it. There's an expanded set of style issues, style things you can fix. And some of these are really cool. Let's get past the code block, because what I care about is some stuff down here. So we have expression body members. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, this is the, that's not where I want to be. Wait, I'm in the wrong place. School style format? Sorry. No. Wait. I'm in the right version. I am in the right version. Okay, hang on. It's here. I just need to find it real quick. I had already, I think, scrolled down too far. Yep, here we go. Okay, so you can define your preferences for this. So if you like to see code that has, come on, we can do this, prefer this, that always has this in the front, you can do that, and now you won't get requested to make that change. And how many of you use ReSharper? I've not used this with ReSharper. I can't tell you how much this and ReSharper are going to get along. I would certainly hope that JetBrains comes in here and takes advantage of these definitions. They are done in a very generalized way. So how many of you hate the var character and never want it used in your code at all? Anybody? Every once in a while I have 2 or 3 people like never want to see it, okay? Well, that's okay. You won't be nearly as excited about this. That's okay, though. So here we've got for, come on, you can do this. For var, you can say that for built-in types, yes, I want to use them. No, I don't. So I can say explicit type. And then I believe that there's a feature here about being able to use the system, int32, instead of int. Okay, I believe that that is for Jeff Richter and no one else. But do any of you like to do that? Does anybody use int32 instead of int? Nobody. Okay. There's a couple people on the planet, they push hard for it, so we've got that. But the other thing I really want to show is expression body members. Okay? We got these in C#6. That's when you have your getter, and you can just say, you know, public, string, first name, equal, angle bracket, and you can give the result. We've been able to do that with properties. This is what I'm talking about in the first one. That's the basic approach of being able to just return the value. We've been able to do that on methods. That is actually prefer block body. Let's change that to expression body. Now we can do this for constructors, and I just wanted to use it because it's a super quick way to show you that we can now do expression body members for constructors. We don't care too much about operators, right? And also, this is the really exciting one, we can do it for setters. Is that cool? Is that cool? You like that? Okay. So now we've got a way that we can expand our usage of just the simple expression body members. You do have to put the surrounding property if you're in the, if you're going to use a setter and a getter. If you're doing the getter, you can just next to age just say, yeah, here's the return value. Okay? So, got that one. Let's see, make sure I didn't miss anything else there. Okay, we did the extract the class. We synced the class names. We've got that. Okay, so let's go back here for a second. It's back here. Let's get rid of this. We're done. We're not going to save anything. Get rid of NuGet. Now, there are some purple lines there. Can you see them? They're vertical purple lines of dots. Can you see them? When you first open Visual Studio 2017, you may not be able to. And that's because by default, they are light gray. I thought that with the projector, it was a complete toss-up whether they would be visible in any way whatsoever. So I changed them to magenta. And you may want to do that, because you may want these to be a little bit brighter. And in the notes, these are called structure adornments. I have no idea why you would remember that. So it's in my notes. You can find it. It is in fonts and colors to change that. What do you think? Do you like those? Heads up, heads down. Just make them white on white or something if you really hate them. You can actually turn them off. Okay, just say adornments, and you can find them and turn them off. I actually right now think, okay, but imagine a long file. And imagine you're trying to keep a long file straight. Now you're going, yeah, okay, really long file, that might be super useful. Okay, now comes the really punchline. Imagine that in a really long file. So you know what you're looking at. Wait a minute, namespace. Oh yeah, so it's public class. So you've got both layers. So as you come in here, you get the third layer as well. So not only do you see what you're currently wrapping, but you see what it's inside of and it's inside of. So you got that? So you can see the structure of your app right there. This is an older feature. I don't know that everybody's actually really in tune with it, but the scroll bar options over here, I want to use the map mode medium. It'll be fine. Do you guys do this in a big file? This is really, really super valuable, especially because that big blue bar tells you where you are in your big file. And then you've also got any errors. And at home, mine look like a Christmas tree because there's so much stuff in there, right? You're over there and you've got all this little, all of those dots mean something. And you can figure that out. Okay, so we've got that one. Am I doing on time? Oh, great. Okay, so the great thing is that the Visual Studio features show really fast. So I'll get the C# features. Okay, so let's do a quick IntelliSense, and then I'll get back to some code. You guys have gone a long time with that code. So let's go over to the program file, and then I'll go from there to start and explain what this program actually does. Okay, I'm going to do Control-J. That's how you bring up IntelliSense. Okay, now I'm going to make that a little bigger. Come on, let's go in there. Okay, what on earth? Have you guys seen this yet? That thing across the bottom? You seen it? You guys have already seen it. No? You're just confused by it. I can't blame you. That's a lot of icons, okay? What that's giving us is a way to filter IntelliSense, and each one has a keystroke. So you'll be able to also do that. So you can see this is alternate K to get to keywords. Now, I'm going to have to see if I can make this work. Okay, no suggestions for keywords. No keywords fit here. Here's some namespaces. Come on, do namespaces fit here? Come on. You can do this. No suggestions for namespaces. Do we expect? I picked a crappy place, apparently. Okay, let's just pick another spot. Let's go here. Control-J. This whole focusing in thing is a little tough. Can you guys see that well enough right there? Is that going to work? Okay, great. Okay, so now keywords. There's no keywords here, just string. And namespaces, no namespaces. Oops. Now we see everything. Now we see any namespaces. It's not working. There we go. Now we see whatever that is. So you got the idea, right? I have to keep trying to make this work because it's really misbehaving on me. I think that I should have made a better choice of this and see if maybe now I can get a little bit more interesting stuff. Yep, here we have some types. Here we have some matches. Here we have some, why am I not getting methods here? I have no idea. Okay, but you get the idea. I don't quite know why it's not behaving right now, but you get the general idea, right? Okay, cool. Those great big huge long lists and all the stuff that you normally do right now to make them work, typing the first couple of characters, typing the first couple of characters of each word, typing the first letter of each word, all of that fuzzy stuff, all of that still works. But we also get the ability to filter. Okay, let's make it normal again. You guys can really see that code, right, in the back? You good? I see the nodding heads. I always see the nodding heads of the people that can, and the people that go, yeah, now I need glasses, are a little quieter. Let me know if you want any bigger. Okay, so I needed to create an application that made it, obviously to demonstrate what I want to show, and specifically what I want to show here is something about pattern matching versus inheritance. Because if you go out on the web and you look for examples of pattern matching in C#7, you are going to see code and say, I would never do it that way. And the prime example is to give a bunch of shapes and then calculate using pattern matching the area of each shape. Okay? If I want an area for each shape that I own, I'm going to make area a property of the shape because every shape in the world has an area. A line has an area of 0. So I wouldn't do it that way. And so I wanted to create an application that really honed in on the notion that pattern matching is different than inheritance. Okay? So if you've got something like the area of a shape, which is inherently part of that class, of that object, it just owns it. Put it in there like you've always done. Don't make any changes. Okay? But here, the example that I've come up with is we have a pretend university. And you already saw some of the classes. It's got students. It's got instructors. It's got department chairs. It's got things like that. And the notion is that we want to send everyone a message at the end of one particular semester that gives them some sort of a nice message about what they did and what was going on. And we want to make it kind of specific to who they are. We don't want to send instructors the same message that we want to send students. And we don't want to send students the same message we would have sent them last semester. So are you with me on this? We're going to depend on our person hierarchy, but we're going to do something to it that is not just a part of it. It's something that relies on it, but it's a different set of things. So you with me on all of that? Okay. So that's why it's kind of a goofy application. And we've got things like getting thank you messages. That's the key thing we're doing. So to get here, we're going to look at how we're seeding the data. Okay, so let's come over here. Come on, you can do this. No, you can't, apparently. I don't know why that keystroke combination just didn't work. Okay, so here what we've got is the data that we're starting with. And you can see that we've got a few people there. We've got me and my 2 sons. I put this up once, and one of my sons was in the room, and I had his brother's name up there. And I said, Ben, he's the smart, he's really smart. So he has a 4.0 average. And my other son was going, you said that with me in the room, right? So they're both up there. They're both real smart. Okay, so we've got all that. And somebody real quick tell me how much Sebastian Vettel makes from that. You're kind of slow. You haven't worked it out yet. What? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, how many of you have to look at code at 9 o'clock in the morning? How many of you might have to read code at 9 o'clock in the morning? Okay, so this is really hard. I don't like hard things. That's fine. Okay. I have the insert on. I'm going to fix that. And so there we go. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to, again, I made a mistake here. Let's do that, and let's do that. And actually, it is wrong. He does not actually make $334 million. So I can find out now, first of all, that I did make a mistake. There's an American footballer that I did have in there, but I thought you would have no idea who Osweiler was. So anybody know who Osweiler is? No, I didn't think so. Okay. I'm from Denver. We're bitter. We're very bitter that he went to Houston, and he's in the playoffs, and we're not. So we're very bitter. Okay, so now you can read it's $33 million, right? And did you notice I never got a squiggle when I had all these things wrong? Okay, there are places in the world that it's not every 3 characters. Okay, there's places in the world that it's 4 and 2 and 6 and 8, and it doesn't matter. You can put these anywhere. In fact, not only can you put them anywhere, you can put as many as you want. Okay? You can do stupid things as well as smart things. Stick these in there in a way that make you and your team happy. Ooh, not good. Okay, so we'll just do Control-Z there. There we go. Okay, good? Like that? So now I look at that and I go, wait a minute, you know what? That reminds me of something. those binaries really weren't that easy to read. Let's go back to this. Now it's in the staff roles, because remember I moved things. So let's go over to staff roles, and let's come down to these guys. And they're pretty easy to there, but now they start being a little hard. So now let's come over by every 4, because that's the logical unit for a binary. And let's start sticking these guys in here. Uh-oh. Oops. Did I get that count right? Nope, nope, nope. Okay. So now, how much easier is that to read? Okay? Way, way easier to read. Way, way easier to compare two values and see if they're off by 1, 0, right? So I love the combination of these two, and I love them independently, but I really love putting these two features together. Okay? Good? Everybody likes this? Happy? You happy? Do you like C#7 so far? I haven't even shown you pattern matching or tuples. Okay? So this is awesome. Okay. Let's come back to the program. Where did I lost program? I must have not double-clicked it. Every once in a while, that feature is annoying, and sometimes I really like it. Okay, so what we want to do now is to find out a little bit more about this whole get thank you messages thing. So I'm going to come here and just bounce over there. And here is a rather bizarre code. I apologize for a little bit of bizarreness in this to make a couple of points. But what I want to do is I want to return, I'm going to pass an enumerable of persons, which we just made in the seed count, and I want to return a bunch of strings, which is the specific message for each person, and I want to return how many people are on our staff. And I just want to go through this group once and get both those values. Honestly, I'd probably just use a link count to get the staff count with a where clause, but it doesn't make a good demo, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so create a list of messages. Great, I'm going to work from there. We've got the staff count starts at 0, good place to start it. We loop through and we get each message. Okay, let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's get rid of these 2 lines. We don't need those. Okay. Person is student. Student equals null. How many of you have written that code before? If something as something else, var something, var with a variable name, equals some other variable as something. Next line, if that new variable is not equal to null. Anybody ever written that code before? How much do you like that code? You really want to write it forever? It is such stupid code. Okay, so what if instead we could write code that looked, if, and I've just blanked on this syntax, so I might get it wrong the first time. Should be right. Let's see if we got that right. We did not get that right. Person is student. I actually have this down here cheated, just in case I blank, because some of the syntax is not at my fingertips, nor we really have it ready to... Do you guys know this trick? You can hide any code you want to with Control-MH. I randomly hid some code here, and unfortunately, the problem I'm having is that... there we go. That is correct. Why did I not get that? What did I screw up? Oh, it's just, my syntax was correct. I just have reused a variable name. That syntax looks right. It was right. Okay. What do you think? Come on, guys. It's 9 in the morning. Get a little excited, man. Okay, look at that. Is that better? Oh, gosh, that's so much better. Oh, that's fantastic. And we can go ahead and we can also, this is a normal, totally normal piece of code. So I can just do this as well. It doesn't have to just be that part. It's just a part of an if conditional. So now I can get rid of this. I think I should have to get rid of one more here somewhere. Yeah, right here I should get rid of this one. And then, let's see. Okay. If you like, I can do this. You like that? Great. You like it? Okay. Cool. All right. So I'm going to real quick do these others. Okay, because it won't take that long. So I'll just say person is instructor. And I'm going to get rid of this line before I freak out at the syntax error. And does that say unreachable code? Unreachable code. How did I? Oh, I have two. That's because right here, this should have been an else if person is student. Okay. So if the student and they have a GPA, or if they're person student, oops, I forgot to get. Here, I don't need the variable. If I wanted to add the variable, I would have a small issue. This has changed throughout a couple of different builds. I believe this is the final version, though. I can't say for sure, because remember, this is still in progress. It's squiggled because we do have a conflict in naming. So it's named one scope outside the if statement, and I believe that is going to change. It was extensive discussion. Believe me, does anybody ever watch the extensive discussions on language? They get very, very boring. Okay, so here, let's get rid of this one first. And now we're just going to say if person is staff. Okay, cool. Okay, so you guys like that better, right? Hey, look, it didn't fit on one screen before. And now it does. We love it when it all fits on one screen. Yay! Okay, but I don't think it's good enough yet. I think we can do better. What do you think? Shall we try? Okay. So let's see what would happen if we used a switch. I like that. So we'll do switch, person. Okay. And now, if I can remember all this syntax for switch, case, student. Does that work? Wow, it's not going to work unless I put that in there, and then it's going to need a break. So I'm just going to start just by doing this, so it should compile. Case, why is that not working? All right, I'm going to cheat again, because that looks right to me, and I don't know how I messed up. I'm sure I have messed up, but it probably needs an is in there. It's probably the story. It's this one. It needs a what? Yeah, okay, let's try it again. Case student. I don't know why it needs that. That doesn't make sense. If anybody sees something else I did wrong, let me know. Okay, what is your problem? You have, okay, let's just call this student 2 to make sure we have our syntax correct. Okay. It just needed the variable name out there. And I forgot to do something that I want to do, so I'm just going to delete this for a second, and I will come back to it. But I want to look at, and the reason I redid this is I want to do it in a simple version right here. This code probably looks a little bit new and uncomfortable to you, right? You're like, yeah, I like it better than the old code, but really I'm not comfortable yet. So think of it this way. From here to here approximately, just split it in half, the type goes on both sides of this. That is a conditional. You saw that it's not required that we have a variable name after it. Okay, that's the conditional. That tells us whether it's true or false. From here to here, what I have highlighted, what does that look like? Every other declaration you've ever done anywhere. So it's just an overlapping conditional and declaration. And I think if you think of it that way, it'll stop looking quite so weird. Okay? Questions? I'm like giving you guys permission to ask questions. You'd ask me anyway, wouldn't you? I hope so. Okay, so now we've got this student, and then we've got this other piece that's part of this, which is we can also say when. And when allows us to get this kind of code in. Oh, come on. I didn't bring my other mouse, which would have been a brilliant thing to do. Who knows what the M is? Who can tell me why there's an M at the end of that? What is it? Decimal. A decimal is a base 10 number. You should use decimal in almost all cases, unless you have a demonstrable situation where you know double is faster and important for you. Yes, it's 40 times slower, and you never care. It's the difference between like 40 nanoseconds and 160 nanoseconds. It's really, really fast both ways. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to get rid of that squiggle by simply getting rid of this line of code, which was equivalent. See that those are equivalent. Okay, and then I've got my case. We'll just do it this way. It's going to be a little messy as I go through this. And then let's get rid of this line and fix up this one. So we can just say, well, we already had that part, so we can just say case student. And now I do have to say student 2. Okay? That's looking nice. I don't really need this bracket because for some reason we have to have brackets in if statements for ourselves, not the system. The system could care less. But for our heads, for some reason, we desperately want to see them in an if statement. And would you please take them out of that case? We didn't like it there. So I don't know why we're that way, but that's pretty common that people like in one place and not the other. Okay, so here we just do this really quick. We just do case instructor. That's pretty easy. And get rid of that, and we're about to be done, and get rid of that, and we get rid of down here. Now, you're seeing how fast I'm doing this, and I'm actually talking at the same time. And it's really early in the morning for me, too. So you guys can help me when I make mistakes like that. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Now, and then we can also still do our default. It is default, right? Okay. Now, there's another thing that we're going to be able to do, and I don't actually have a good demo for you, but I do want to mention this because it hurts your head when you first hear it. And that is that there is now, this is a statement, throw new invalid operation. That is a statement. A statement has a semicolon at the end. A statement cannot be on the right side of an assignment. That's what a statement is. An expression does not have a semicolon and can be on the right side of an assignment. Can be a lot of other places as well. So there is now a throw expression as well as a throw statement. And you're going, huh? And just one quick example of how you could use that, and I must need another, that has to happen. So after this, I can say var x equals, I'm going to make this, I'm just going to do a quick ternary, dummy ternary. I realize this is completely stupid code, but I think it'll make the point. Okay? You could not do that before C#7. You might not want to do this, okay, because this is stupid. But this, you can use it any place. You can use an expression now. You can use throw, okay? And that can be valuable in case statements. Okay. What do you think? Anybody like that better than where I started? Whoa, dude, yeah. That is so much better. That is so much better. Great. Okay. That is pattern matching. Okay? That whole F#, they're cool. They got tattoos and all that. You know, F# is really cool, right? This is what we care about, pattern matching, right now. We'll care more. They have fancy stuff. We'll get it. But this is what we care about right now. Question? Can use a lambda. Where do you want to use a lambda right here? I haven't tried. I'm going to give you a quick answer of probably not. Okay? I haven't played around with if what you're really trying to get to is that being a func. But this right here, we have a type. And that type is going to have to be resolved at compile time. So my expectation would be no lambdas there. Where I'm a little slower is there a scenario you could put a lambda there? And sometimes they surprise me, and I'm only 75% sure that, yeah, no, you can't put it there either. You might be able to put it there. How many of you are familiar with, I'm going to switch gears a little bit unless there's another question on pattern matching. Okay. Oh, nope, yep, okay, somebody's scratching. Okay. How many of you are familiar with string interpolation that came in C#6? You guys like that? Do you think it's nicer than my string format here? Okay, yeah. I actually do too. I think that would be kind of nicer there. But I got old code with boatloads of this in there. And it's actually a pain in the neck. I was about to say something else. It's a pain in the neck to change them, right? You guys have done some changing of these, right? And it's kind of a pain, okay? So you're going to be sad you didn't wait. Control period, enter. Win, for the win, all right. You guys like that? Okay. How many times you get something like this? It goes off string and it goes off screen, but it's in the middle of a string. And you got to put the put the quote in, and then you put the new line in, and then it's all squiggled, and then you put the other quote in. You're like, yeah, it's a pain, right? That's so stupid. Why can't you just do that? Is that cool? Come on, guys. This is cool, okay? It's this little stuff. What I said is, yes, we get pattern matching big, okay? But the real thing about C#7 is that your life is better because you can do that. And you just saved yourself, what, 10 seconds? Not a lot. You save yourself 10 seconds 6 or 8 times a day. Hey, man, you get a day off at the end of the year, right? I didn't do the math, but someplace down there, this is real. It's just tightens things up. And there's a second reason. Yes, okay, it makes our life easier. Things can go faster. But there's a second reason it matters. And some of you have thought about this, some of you haven't. But programmers have a huge need and a huge dependency on their flow. Do you know how if you're sitting working and somebody comes over and asks you a question, then when you're done, it takes you a lot of time to get back to where you were? That's flow. So flow actually has a lot of well, I guess I'll use the bad term, microaggressions. It has a lot of things that pick at it, like a little bird coming pick, 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 pick. Things like that. Okay, now I want to fix that string. First of all, I had that thought. Then I have to go, and to do that, I have to put in a double quote. And then I put in an enter, and then I'm programmed to get upset about squigglies. So I go, squigglies, and then I put the quote in. And all of that has not only taken me 10 seconds, but it's derailed my brain. Not a lot like that person who comes in and asks you a question, but it derails it just a little bit. And so these little things in C#7 make our code more readable, and they help keep us in our focus and in our flow without having to think about, now I'm going to have to extract that file, and I'm going to have to rename that file. And all these little things really add up to a better experience. That's why I like Visual Studio 2017. Any questions so far? Okay, so there's another kind of biggish feature that I want to talk about, and it has to do with what we're returning right here. And let me go back to program for a minute, and there's 2 steps to showing you this. There's 2 improvements. So the first one is, how many of you like the fact that to do an out parameter, you have to declare it first? This is particularly annoying around a try parse or a try catch or a try get value, okay? This is annoying, right? Why should we have to do that? You're a compiler. Would you get your act? That's not exactly what I meant to do. Let's just get rid of this one, okay? And then let's just say, you're an integer. Be done with it. Is that cool? Okay, so things like try parse, try catch, at least in this version, are not going to be updated with the next feature, although at some future point, maybe they will. But we only use out parameters right now when we truly need them. And if they're in your code, you probably will be able to remove them. However, if they're in someone else's code, like try parse, then now you'll not have to pre-declare. That's nice. The other thing we can do is something called tuples, which are new actually they work right or pretty much right. They work right to the degree that you will probably encounter them. There is still some small tweaks that are going on with some of the ways that they're restricted and defined and some things like that. Language design under the hood is really messy, and if you ever doubt that, just for grins, go read any thread on GitHub on any language feature, and you'll be entertained for at least 35 seconds. There are like hundreds and hundreds of messages from people like me that actually care about the associative property of the null reference operator. And you care that I care, because that particular feature was done wrong from C#6. The null reference operator had the wrong associative property. And myself and a bunch of other people fought very hard to get it switched. And because of that, you never knew that conversation happened. And that's the way it should work. That's the way open source should work. But let me come back over here and go to my spring 2016 term. And by the way, I haven't built this for a while, so let me just build it and make sure I've never messed up. We'll get rid of the warnings. They're just in there. That's probably telling me that I can do something. And that's probably an if statement someplace where I could take advantage of something. So where is it? We'll just go look for grins. So it just is telling me that on line 20, I don't have line numbers on. Line 20 is, yeah, I can use pattern matching there. We already know that. We already learned that. Okay, so what I want to do now, though, is say, fundamentally, this is wrong. My declaration here is just fundamentally wrong. An out parameter is a fundamentally wrong concept. It's a parameter. I'm giving it to you. I understand technically why this works. I understand all that. But from a just logic point of view, it's a parameter. I'm giving it to you. If you're giving it back to me, you should give it back to me. So starting in C#7, you're going to be able to do this little sweetheart. And you're going to be able to do like this. And then, this is not actually going to work just now, because at this point, it'd be kind of hard to actually define it. You would actually have to, well, you can, okay. What you would have to do is come down here and say messages. Okay, you'd have to do that. And staff count now needs a var in front of it, because previously it was passed in, so it was already declared. Now it needs to be declared. Okay, so you like that? It gets better. It gets better. This whole little, you can do that parentheses thing when you want to, but, why should we have to? I think this works. This was going to work. I think it works. If it doesn't work, you'll forgive me. Int staff count. Okay, and now at this point, I can do that. Yeah, I think I still have to do that. Okay, so I can actually give those names. Okay, is that cool? Okay, so now, do I have to do that now? Yeah, I think I still have to do that. Okay, so let's go back to the program. Because what we care about now is this is broken now because we didn't like that anyway. And so now I can say, let's just do IEnumerable string, and that's coming back as thank you messages. I don't know if I capitalized that. Thank you. Let's just steal it. There we go. There we go. That's my name. It was right there. I'm an idiot. Sorry. All right. Okay. And staff count. Okay. And now let's get rid of this. Okay? That is sensible. I'm giving you people. Please. Okay, that's what I gave you. What you give me back, please tell me. Just give it back. You like that? It's just freaking awesome. Okay. Now, we also, you guys, I asked, okay, you all like the var keyword. Okay? So if you like the var keyword, then maybe we could use var in here. Okay, so let's just say var. And maybe this is a case you're not crazy about var, but in which case don't use it. Just use the things. You like that? Is that cool? Okay, let's see if we can't get even cooler. What if, that's boring. That's boring. I don't want to write that more than once. What if I did that? You like that? This is awesome stuff. Okay, this is great. And just in case this ever is something you want to think about, there is discussion of wildcards, and what that means is that do you have to take all the values? And in the meantime, just use an underscore. If we don't get wildcards, just use an underscore, because it kind of fades into the background and it indicates that you don't really care about the value. Now, I want to make it very clear that thank you messages is not the same name as messages. So these names do not have to match. Not required at all. Okay? So, is that cool? Okay. So, let's see if we can take this one step further. Okay, let's say var t equals, and I'm going to take all of this. Okay. Because somebody here is wondering about this. So I'll show you. Okay, we'll just make it on one line just to be pretty. Okay? Okay, so now what type is t? What? It's an anonymous type. It is not actually an anonymous type. There is a new thing called a value tuple. Now, how many of you have used the tuple that's in before C#7? A lot of you have. Okay, it's broken. It's really sad. There's so many things wrong with it. I believe that it will go into the dustbin of time and hopefully become obsolete. Okay. First of all, it's a class. What that means is it's a reference type. What that means is it goes on the heap. What that means is if you use very many of them, you're going to have pressure on your garbage collection. A, one problem. B, how many of you like that value 1, value 2 thing? Okay. So what we'd like this to be is a value tuple that has some clue that we gave this thing names. We didn't say IEnumerable value 1. We said IEnumerable messages in the other class. So what we would like this to be is a tuple where if we say console dot right line, I hate that Windows left. Okay, just don't give that to me. Okay, T dot. Oh my gosh. Messages. Write out those messages. Okay? That is coming back as a value type that understands the names that you gave it and the types you gave it. Can it get any cooler than that? I don't think so. Okay, really, I don't think I have anything else on that one. Okay, so this is incredibly useful and powerful. And so I think every single place you're using an out parameter, you're going to switch over to this. I also think that most of you are also going to get a little crazy with this, and you're going to start passing back a few more things than you need to. Okay? And I just will tell you that when I started working, I spent 6 months in Python because I had a boss that thought I was too Microsofty, and so he said, you're not touching anything Microsoft at work for 6 months. It was a great experience. It was not good for the company, but it was great for, I was writing Python code. I had a great guy working for me who actually wrote most of the Python code. But Python does this and has for a long time. And we did it maybe 24 places, and I would say about a dozen of those we later backed out. So be cautious with this one. It's tremendously important and valuable. But don't go crazy with it, because I do think it's something to have a light touch on. Very, very important in code like this. But then again, in this code, why did we really just not go through this list? It's a small local list. Why did we just not go through it again? So this isn't a case we particularly needed, that optimization of only going through the list once. If that had been some very complex logic that did not belong in this code, that a where clause in this code, just a normal link, where, and .count, wasn't appropriate in this code, then it would have been fine to go ahead and move it over there. But just be a little cautious with this one. I am quite confident it will be misused. Whether it's misused by you, I don't know. But I'm quite confident this feature will be both used and misused. Okay? Now, do I have time for this? I've got a couple minutes here. I think I'm going to show you one more language feature instead of more Visual Studio features. And that is that, and this is kind of a little hard to get your head around. And how many of you were in John Skeet's talk with me yesterday? We touched on this, and we did it really badly because we threw you really into the deep end. So let me show you what's behind that. And in order to do this syntax right there, they needed to have the concept of deconstructing a type. So we have a value tuple, it has names. You see that in the second time I call the method. But we need to be able to yank it apart into its pieces. Okay? And instead of making that a feature just for tuples, they made it a general language feature. So what I'm going to show you can do is to say, we're going to create a person equals, we're just going to do persons.first. I just need a person. I just need a variable that's going to be a person. I'm just using link. That's why that squiggle was there. Okay, so what I want to be able to do is to say first name, last name equals P. Whoa! I did that on stage yesterday with absolutely no warning whatsoever, and people were going, huh? Okay, so if you were there and didn't follow, let me explain it now. So we're going to go over to person, and we're going to create a new method, and this method is going to be a public, whatever scope I want, void, and it must have this name, deconstruct. That's the magic. It also then must be, it doesn't have to be this here. I did it as an extension method. This can also be an extension method. This one is not going to be. Now I need out parameters, out string, and it's going to be first name and out string last name. Okay? And then in the interest of time, I'm just going to say that these now need to be assigned. That's why there's a squiggle right there, is they're not assigned. So I'm going to say first name equals name. And then in the interest of time, I'm going to say last name equals my favorite last name, Flintstone. But mostly because I'm not reminding you of how to spell Flintstone. Okay, it is not Flintstone. Okay, so now it compiles. Is that cool? Now let's go back to program and see if that compiles. No. I need a var, but I also am having a squiggle under P. No deconstructor. I just gave you a deconstructor. Person is a key value. Who said that? Who said that? You're brilliant. Thank you so much. Value. Value. Hey, you guys happy? See, massive pair programming. Thank you so much. That really speeded us up right there. So I have got just a couple of minutes left. So the first thing I want to do is take any questions on this, okay? So you can deconstruct. You can deconstruct intelligently or stupidly, which is what John and I were playing around with. We did some really stupid deconstructions. Please, for your friends and your neighbors and keeping your job, do intelligent deconstruction. And then another thing I want to say here is the reason out parameters are used here instead of other features you could think of. Let's go back to this. The reason out parameters are used is these are actually intended to be overloaded. Okay, the design is done such that you could have a deconstructor that returned one parameter, which was name, or two parameters, which is first name and last name, or some other number. Now, whether this is a good way to extract those values from your person class, I don't know. Think that through on your own. Depends on how big your person class is. But deconstructors are going to be very useful in some cases. I'll give you a quick example. If you've ever created a point class to create an X and Y or X, Y, and Z value, then you could create that class with a constructor. But getting the values back as X, Y, and Z required just a little bit more code. You can now do that with a deconstructor inside your point class. So that's a more logical usage of this. Okay. Do I have any questions? I'll see if I can find one or two Visual Studio things to show you. Otherwise, I've got about a minute and a half or something. Yes?
Couldn't you just use a method that returns more values for the point? Just get values. Now you can do it in one line.
So the question is, couldn't you just use a method that returned those values? Did you need to do this extra deconstructor thing? And the answer is absolutely you could. Sorry, this is the one you want. The difference is whether this is going to look like that. This is the breakdown of that, of an instance of that type. This is what this is saying. Or what you're pointing out is that you could have a method with any name and call my method, and that would absolutely. You could also have a property that I believe. I haven't actually done that, but you should be able to use tuples and properties as well. So you could have either a method or a property that did the same thing. And I think that's a better answer for the first name, last name. Get the name is more logical than to deconstruct that, but it is nice to also have the deconstructor. And there was also a question over here somewhere. Same question. Okay, any other questions? Okay, have I out of time? I got a minute and a half. You guys want to go early? You want me to show you one more thing? Yeah, question. Where's the question? Go ahead. Oh, thank you so much for asking that question. Do you know the answer, and that's why you asked it? Oh, okay. Thank you. That's a perfect way to close this out, because I said that this is making your life easier. I said all this kind of stuff. And then I went into tools options. Tools options is a very outdated concept. It comes from a time that most of us worked on like one company, one project. Our projects were pretty static. They didn't change the rules a lot. And now, oh my gosh, rules change all the time. And besides that, there's a guy down the hall. He insists on using Visual Studio Code. Okay? So what good is this going to be to my project? Because it's just here on my machine. And how does that really help us? And the answer is that, and this is still getting finalized, okay? But there's something called editor.config, which is a name that's expected to be the configuration for a project. This is kind of more widely in the community. They've extended the syntax for that because it had to be extended fairly far to hold that information. So that can be attached into an editor.config, exactly how it goes from your tools options into editor.config. Right now it's still unclear. But you will have an editor.config that code will recognize, Visual Studio will recognize, and can be checked into source control with your project so everybody gets it, which is essential to this working correctly. So thanks a lot for that question. And that runs me out of time. I want to thank you so much for spending this morning, and I hope you have a great time. I'll be in room 1 after this, and there's a lot of other great talks going on at the same time. Thanks again.